regular meeting of the County Commissioners on February 8th at 6 o'clock. As always, we'll start off with invocation. I'll ask Commissioner Barneycastle if he'd lead us, please.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today, Lord. We thank you for another day of life and another beautiful day. Lord, we pray as we go in the meeting that you bless us, that we make the right decisions for our county and our citizens. Bless the ones that are sick in our county and across the country with the COVID virus. We pray, Lord, that you bless our men and women that's on fallen soul so that we may have the freedom we have today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please continue standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Commissioners, before we do the approval of the agenda, I'd like to add Amendment D to discussion agenda. It's going to be an announcement from our Sheriff Mike Marshall.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda then with the addendum of Sheriff Marshall under the discussion agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Move on to our comments from our commissioners and managers, starting with Commissioner Mendenhall.
Thank you. Thank everyone for coming tonight. It's an honor to be here in front of you and to represent Stokes County. I've always said it's the greatest county I think you can live in anywhere in the United States of America. And all the people that's watching on YouTube Live, I say hello to you. Thank you for being a part of our governmental process tonight. And as I say each and every night, I welcome at any time if you have anything you need to discuss with me. My number's in the book, and you can give me a call. I had a call about 2 minutes before I walked in tonight, and I told him I'd call him back as soon as I got out of the meeting. So you just, anytime you need something, call me, and then if I can't help you, I'll point you in the right direction. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to also welcome everybody. It's good to have you out and seeing a room full like this for a really long time. It's kind of neat. I just came from the free state of Florida, where I've been for the last few days, where they have a real governor, and you'd be surprised how nice it is down there when things are kind of operating like normal. Only thing, and it's warm down there and it's cold up here, but otherwise, great to have you and look forward to the meeting tonight.
Commissioner Barneycastle.
Again, I reiterate, Rick and Ronnie, it's great to see everyone here tonight. My first couple meetings were up to 2 or 3 people, and I said, this ain't too bad, but it was full tonight. But it's a pleasure serving y'all and all the rest of the citizens of Stokes County, and I'm like Ronnie, anytime you need to call me. I thought, when I took this position, it was just a couple nights a week, but you found out real quick that's not the case. So, but I don't have a problem with that. That's what I'm here for. It's great to see everyone.
Commissioner Cox.
And they pretty much have said it all, but I'll just repeat what they've said. It is good to see you all out, and it's good to see this much participation in government and or maybe y'all just think we're going to really put on a show tonight. I don't know. And you never know around here. But we do appreciate you all being here and the ones watching from home. We appreciate the emails, the phone calls. We appreciate staying in touch with all of y'all, and that's what we're here for, is to represent the whole county. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, we're open to listening to your comments, your concerns, and we're available for you. No matter how small you think it might be, we're still here for you. And today I had a chance to point some people in the right direction with social services and the clerk of court and a grandmother that was having to take some custody of grandkids, and that's a thing that we're seeing in our county on a daily basis. And I was happy to be able to help that person get steered in the right direction to find help that grandparent needed today. So that's what we're here for. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, as I said, it's good to see you all here. I'm just going to go ahead and move on with the meeting. I'll just move on to our manager, Mr. Oakley.
I hope everyone's doing well. It's good to see you, and I'll be, as always, I'm in prayer for all of Stokes County.
Stay safe. Thank you, sir. We'll now move on to our public comments. When I'll call your name, just state your address and your name, and I'll have you 3 minutes. Once 3 minutes is up, I'll hold my hand up. If you could, just wrap it up very quickly. We'll start with Mr. Savarsi.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to speak a minute. My name is Srinanda Sarvasri, Walnut Cove, North Carolina. I want to talk about COVID-19. I've come across some very interesting material. Dr. Derek Noss, a PhD in virology and immunology, a clinical lab scientist, has tested 1,500 supposed positive COVID-19 samples collected in South California. His lab team did the testing with a scanning electron microscope, and they found no COVID in any of the 1,500 so-called positive samples. What they did find was mostly influenza A and influenza B, which can be pretty severe, but it's not the same thing as COVID-19. They sent the remainder of the samples to Stanford, to Cornell, to University of California, who also did the test. They found the same thing, no COVID, just influenza A and B. All of them then spoke to the CDC and asked for viable samples of COVID, which the CD said they could not provide because they didn't have any samples. They now come to the firm conclusion through all their research and lab work that COVID-19 is an imaginary and fictitious disease. The flu was called COVID, and most of the 225,000 dead were dead through comorbidities, such as cancer, heart disease, diabetes, etc. They are now, he along with the 7 universities, are now suing the CDC for COVID-19 fraud. They have yet to be provided a single viable sample, and they have not found any viable samples anywhere in the world. The only thing that has been found are small bits of RNA, which are only 37 to 40 base pairs long, which is not a virus. A viral genome typically has 30,000 to 40,000 base pairs. So apparently, COVID-19 does not exist as such. So what we're dealing here, he says, to conclude, is just another strain of the flu like we have every year. COVID-19 does not exist and is fictitious. He believes that China and the globalists orchestrated this COVID-19 hoax, a flu designed or disguised as a novel virus to bring in global tyranny and a worldwide totalitarian surveillance state. And this plot included massive election fraud to overthrow President Trump. That's his take on it. He's a PhD virologist and immunologist, along with many others like him who have done the same test, found the same results. So I thought I would share that with you. I think we should open up Stokes County based on this information, and I gave each of you a copy of this to look at. So thank you very much.
All right, up next we have Al, is it Bernstiller?
I'm sorry, I thought it was just who showed up here. I didn't need to speak.
Oh, okay. Well, I like your topic. You put curious, so I was curious what you. Good to have you here tonight. All right, with that, we'll go ahead approve of the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
In discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Move on now to our information agenda. Up first, we have Open Broadband, the Chief Technology Officer, Kent Wilwich.
Is it okay if I email?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Kent Winrick. I'm Chief Technology Officer. Oops, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, the clicker.
Give me that.
I'm trying to make this as very laid back and informal, not a real formal thing. So I'll go through this, and I know there'll be questions. I'm Chief Technology Officer, part owner of a company called Open Broadband. We're a North Carolina owned and operated company. Even our call center's in North Carolina. They speak our language. We are a technology agnostic ISP, Internet Service Provider, which means we'll use the technology that makes the sense at the time and for the future. Right now, we're doing a lot of wireless. We're also doing fiber, but we're also doing a lot of wireless because people need internet now. They don't need it 5 years from now, they need it now. So we're doing this mainly in wireless. We're doing it in line of sight, but also what's more important, non-line of sight, because there's so many trees in areas throughout not just Stokes County, but all of North Carolina. And we're able to do a really good job at getting through trees up to about 150 megs of download, which is somewhat competitive with Spectrum even in rural areas. So let me go through, let's see if I can figure this out. Hey, how about that? Well, we're trying to solve the broadband problem. As you know, there's one provider at 48% of the census blocks, and 30 have 0% or 0. So our model, and I'll try not to get too technical, is we have a data center in Charlotte, and we bring a fiber out to our areas that we provide service to. We're presently in 18 different counties in North Carolina. And then we create network hubs, and then off of that, we do wireless communities based off of those network hubs. We're able to provide over a gigabit of speed to some areas wirelessly. We have like a dentist that does Invisalign, large files when they do Invisalign imaging. With a cable modem, it took them 45 minutes to upload an image. With us, it took 3 minutes. And that's using a gigabit. Now, that's not available everywhere because it's very short distances that is available on. So we use network hubs and create different communities off of that. We create public-private partnerships. There will not be a test on this later. And so what we do is we work with counties. For example, Alexander County last week just approved an expansion with us. We've already began working with Alexander County, mainly around the Taylorsville area. And now we're expanding out into more of the county. And so they gave us some funding to be able to kind of kickstart. And so we matched some of that funding as well. Orange County had approved funding for broadband service in the northern part of the county. We've been serving them for about 2 years now. Belmont, we're doing service just west of Charlotte. And we're selling service to all town buildings. So we're serving all of the town of Belmont buildings, including fire stations and police stations and the like. We're also doing Wi-Fi zone for downtown so that when shoppers and visitors come, that they get free Wi-Fi. And we have a TechWorks Innovation Center where we're providing a gigabit plus into that innovation center. And Belmont is giving us free use of their towers in the area. Mount Olive, we're servicing the town buildings again. We have a downtown Wi-Fi zone. They have a thing called Pickle Fest, believe it or not. 30,000 people show up for this thing. I'm not a pickle fan, so that just doesn't hit me, but 30,000 people like it. So in Wayne and Orange County, we did RFPs to serve residents in unserved areas. Mecklenburg County, we're providing free Wi-Fi to residents of public housing. So we're working even, not just rural, but we're also working with urban areas. But the public housing has become a pretty big deal to help people get connected into schooling and into getting jobs and the like. These are some of the counties we're working with: Gaston, Wayne, Orange, Duplin, Greene, Stanley, Rutherford, Chatham, Alamance, Mecklenburg. Some counties we don't even have on there, we're going so fast. So this is kind of our footprint throughout throughout North Carolina. And each one of the red markers is one of our towers. So we're throughout pretty much the whole part of the state. We're growing constantly. This would be an example of a tower site where we provide line of sight and non-line of sight. In the picture to the right, we've got a whole lot going on here. We've got a link going to a University of Mount Olive, where we provide a gigabit service to them. And then the dish that's pointing off to the right goes off to a tower that the University of Mount Olive built and allows us to use, and we provide service to a brand new agricultural education center. And the other ones are providing links to and from different towers to provide service to residents close by. And the one to the right, the big thing that looks like a cylinder, that's LTE, non-line of sight LTE, where we're able to provide about 150 mega download speed, 3 to 5 miles plus in through trees. We can't go through dirt, but we can go through trees. Here's a very rough, I did a quick mapping of a rough idea on proposed LTE coverage for Stanley County, and you can tell my art skills are very limited. But I give a rough outline of the county and people we've talked to in regards to towers. These are just 4 towers that we're looking at right now. How it would start is we create a backbone through these 4 towers, cover the county as much as we can, and then we build in what we call micro pops, micro points of presence, so that areas that may not have the best reception, we put a small tower in, and then make sure we cover that area more with better coverage. So this is just a rough layout of how we could perform a network real quickly, I mean real quick, and then how many people we could cover within months. And this is an example of a fully developed network where we filled in a lot of the gaps. So we've made towers, we put in towers where we had some gaps. This is in the Mount Olive and Goldsboro area. And all the way out to Seven Springs, which is a very small town that had nothing, no service whatsoever. But this is how it develops. It goes from a couple of towers, and then we develop a lot more towers. Our model is a hybrid service, as I mentioned. We start out wireless. It can move to fiber where needed. It doesn't always make sense to go fiber because you notice that Google Fiber started out going fiber to everywhere, but they eventually went to a hybrid situation where they went fiber to a neighborhood and then wireless to all the homes. We kind of subscribe to that model as well. We're quicker to deploy, and it's fiscally responsible deployment. Non-line of sight and line of sight service speeds from 25 meg up to a gigabit. We serve government, businesses, residential, and schools. We do Wi-Fi zones and analytics. We're completely North Carolina owned and operated, 24/7 call center in Wilson, North Carolina. And your money stays in the community, or at least in the state. We would be hiring people. If we were to work with you all, we'd be hiring people locally. Some happy customers, Pfeiffer University, University of Mount Olive. Some of the tech centers we work with like Packard Place and TechWorks and Tabris, City of Belmont, and the Mount Olive Municipal Airport has a medevac a helicopter there. They were going to lose that if they couldn't get decent internet, so we made sure they got decent internet. So some of the towers that we work on for business and government, we work on full, very large towers. The tower in the middle is over 1,000 feet tall. It's an FM tower north of Raleigh. And then we use water towers as well, buildings, and cell phone towers. We have used silos. I should have a couple pictures of silos in there too. Anything that's tall, we use anything that's tall. Entrepreneurship centers, we would love to help you work out with entrepreneur centers. Packard Place in downtown Charlotte is one of them. It's the one to the left. We put up a little Wi-Fi spot that covers Ramir Bearden Park. TechWorks in Belmont is a small tech center, but again, they get gigabit service to their facility. Residential, you can see some of the antennas that we use. Most of these people are getting 100 megs or better. We did a number of downtown public Wi-Fis where not only do people get to use Wi-Fi as they walk through the downtown area, but we get a little analytics based on how long they're staying on. We're not getting personal information. We're just getting information on how long they stay on. Are they looking at businesses in the area to justify the Wi-Fi? And the Wi-Fi zone, the one to the left is the Belmont area and Mount Olive. We just can cover a whole strip of areas. We can fine tune it. And then do whole baseball parks. We've been doing a lot of parks lately, especially for kids that don't have internet, that they can pull up into a park as opposed to McDonald's and do their homework. Other projects, we're doing like Seven Springs. Seven Springs has a tendency to flood during hurricanes. But we mounted antennas on top of a 240-foot water tower to be able to provide internet to that whole area. Stanley County Airport had no internet out there other than 6 meg DSL. Now they have a gigabit. We use, down in the lower right-hand corner, we use grain elevators, water towers, and the like. Public Wi-Fi, this is for public housing, where we kind of just cover the whole area with Wi-Fi, even inside of their buildings, so that people can continue to get some education, and if they can't afford it, it's part of the support that they get with their public housing. When we start out, we create something called a heat map. People will register in advance as we're building, and then we understand where the hot areas are going to be. We pretty much know where they are, but we'd like to know where people are registering, where they're actually committing to an area, and we'll create a heat map based on where the most interest is. So as we go through a project, we negotiate vertical assets, we order backhaul fiber, we order the equipment, installing first link, and the first customers come online. We do more of an expansion of staff and network, and then we start identifying where else we need to grow out. And that's kind of a quick run through of what open broadband is, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
And since this is a huge problem, I'm sure we're going to have some questions on it. So anybody on the board wants to go first?
A couple right quick.
Yeah, Commissioner Moore.
Does that area you had drawn on there, does that include King too?
Yes.
Okay. It looked like Pinnacle was sort of the cutoff.
Yeah, there is a little, well, we're discussing with multiple tower owners on Sourtown. We haven't decided if we were to go ahead, which tower we'd go with. There is a little bit of a null on one of the towers. I just had to pick one tower for the sake of presentation. And there is a null towards one area, but yes, King would be covered.
Okay, what other counties do you do besides the ones that were on your chart there? Can you kind of list off a few more?
Rutherford, Hot Springs, I think is Mitchell County, Alexander, Gaston, Mecklenburg, Stanley, Rowan, Orange, Durham, Wayne, Duplin, Greene, Craven. It's Lee County. I'm sure I'm missing a few.
You ain't close to us, like Caswell or Person County?
We're talking with Caswell right now. It's we've got a whole kind of area on the whole upper tier that we're kind of trying to connect.
Okay. You're not there yet, though?
Not yet.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other questions?
How do you think our terrain would work as far as your system goes? 'Cause I noticed a lot of the counties you got are to the eastern part of
Yep.
us, flat land.
Right. So this is where our LTE, it's also called CBRS, it's Citizens Band Radio Service, which is specifically for going through trees. So it has worked very well for us in Alexander County, which is very similar to your county. The benefit of your county is that you've got higher mountains. You've got some fantastic views up there. We're on a mountain in Alexander, just outside of Taylorsville, called Linney's Mountain. And it's probably half the size of what you've got. And we've got 10-mile range off of that mountain without any issues. So we would design it specifically for hitting some of the valleys, with the understanding that there's going to be some dirt in the way. We're going to have to put a small tower in some places to create what we call a micro point of presence, to fill in some of the shadowed areas. There are going to be some shadowed areas. We just do the best to work around those.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate your presentation. It's been my experience that competition usually works out best for the consumer.
Absolutely.
And the more that we have in the area, the better off our customers and our people in our county will be price-wise. I know when I was on the Board of Education and we were getting trying to provide broadband wireless for all of our schools. We only had one provider at one time, and we were basically had to take that price. And after another provider came into the picture, the cost went down significantly.
Right.
When they could actually have somebody to bid against, and it worked out good for the school system. So I see that as a plus for our county to bring anybody else to the table who has something to offer. I feel like it's a win-win for the citizens of the county. So I'm very interested in this because I do know that, you know, this day and time, rural areas with people being at home doing work and school is critical.
Absolutely.
And it's a driver of economic development. It's an imperative to a county of our size to have access across the county. So it's very needed. My question is, how do you see satellite internet impacting this in the future, or or how far away are we from that being a reality, I guess?
That's a very good question. And I've been talking to a team that has been in Alaska, that has been working with Starlink, the satellite service. If to get a little technical on it, the satellites actually constantly rotate. So you're always, as opposed to like DirecTV, you're in one location and you're never moving. These move constantly. So you're switching from satellite to satellite to satellite. And what happens when you switch satellites is you drop your connection, and it's up to 10 seconds to bring it back up again as the satellites switch. So this is something that's not been brought up yet, but our people up in Alaska that we've been talking to say it's been a really big problem. It's going to be able to cover some areas that,
Right.
desert areas and things like that where there's nothing.
Right.
But if you have the opportunity to actually get something more solid, that is, give you a real solid connection, you're going to go to that. And also get back to your competition. We're very well aware of what the competition is like throughout North Carolina. And we're not going to come into a county and say, well, we're going to charge more. Who's going to do that? So we are very competitive when it comes to pricing. And I tell you, it's even with the big boys. We play with the big boys too, and we're very competitive.
Gotcha. That was going to kind of ties into my other question about what people could expect as far as the charges to hook up. Is there like usually an initial fee plus a monthly amount, or?
Right, good question again. So we charge an install fee and then a monthly service rate based on the speeds that you take. But we are responsible for all the equipment, so if you have a problem, we handle it. Now, we've had some people that have decided to pull out cables and things like that. If you're going to mess around with some of the things, we might have to charge you a service fee. But that is like a very small instance. So if your router gets hit, gets fried because of a power surge, we'll fix it for free.
Gotcha. And my only other question is, you said quick, but how quick is real quick?
Everybody wants it yesterday. Well, we're staffing up even more. Alexander County, we started late summer, and we have 3 towers up already, and probably about 170 customers. But we started out slow there. We would want to be a lot faster here. So the negotiations or the discussions we've had with some of the tower owners, especially in the northeastern part of the county, have been going very well. And because we've been looking at this area not only for Stokes County, but we want to get counties outside of it, outside of the area as well, kind of make it one whole big area.
Well, we're so close to Virginia, that makes a lot of sense. If you're going to put something, obviously you're going to get customers across the line as well.
Well, and what we would do though, if the Stokes County works with us, we would make sure that money stays within your boundaries.
Right.
That said, radio does, we can't change physics.
Right.
So radio goes beyond, and we would love to talk to the neighbors across the state line, but we would focus strictly on taking care of your county because you're the ones who we are working with.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Mendenhall, do you have anything to add?
Not much, just want to make sure, when I looked at that, I was 4 towers, is that what you had up there? 2 in the Sandy Ridge, Lawsonville area, and then
Walnut
one
Cove
in Walnut Cove?
and one in Saratown.
Okay, which would cover the King Pinnacle area probably. It was in that area.
Right.
I've been up on top of the
Yeah.
Sartown many
Same.
times where I was principal at Nancy Reynolds, that was in my district, so. And you did say line of sight, we would be fine through the trees.
Line of sight is strictly that. It is line of sight, which means you've got to see the tower from where the antenna is located on your roof. Non-line of sight is something that we can shoot through the trees, and we do shoot through the trees, 5 to 10, up to 5 to 10 miles. Now, again, Sourtown and some of these other high locations are just perfect for this type of situation because we're shooting down through trees, and it gives us a much better chance at a better signal. But again, I'll say this again, we do not shoot through dirt. So that's where we're going to have some shadows that we will need to deal with, but that's how we engineer it.
That's all I have right now.
I just want to make sure I'm being realistic.
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah.
And some of the questions I had I got from other commissioners, but one I do had, you said something about if coming into the area, you would try to use local people to
Yep.
create jobs here.
Yes.
Is there certain qualifications that you had to have to come do work for you, or?
Well, it'd be very good if they were handy in either cable TV installation or satellite installation. Probably would eventually look for a regional manager as well in this area. They would manage other people and manage resources and the like. So we'd first be with installers, and we'd train them, and then we would get into more of a management situation to cover this whole area then.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
It does, yes. Well, Kent, thank you so much for coming to speak with us tonight, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from you soon.
Feel
Yeah,
free to
one
reach
other
us
quick
at
question.
my email there. I'm sorry, yes,
Just
sir.
one quick, are you a straight for-profit company?
We are a for-profit company.
Okay, great, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on now to our discussion agenda. Item A, the personal policy updates. Ms. Gail Tucker and Jamie Clark.
And I know y'all are excited about this. Remove my mask. Good evening, Commissioners. Jake, Shannon. Okay, we're wanting to update our personnel policy handbook. Our current policy handbook has some typos. There's corrections need to be made. And we just need to update our current book. So what we did was, we also have some policies that are already implemented but are not in the handbook. So for example, like on-call, that has been since 2014, but it's not in our personnel handbook. So we just need to get it updated. We got some new policies that need to be in our personnel handbook. The last time our handbook was updated was 10 years ago. So we're thinking we need to have an update. So we started talking about getting our committee together. And as you'll see, we had a committee that was got together, and department heads. Stacy Ames is our DSS director. She was on the committee. David Sutter, planning director. Brandon Gentry, EMS director. Tammy Martin, health director. Richard Brim, tax administrator. Sharon William is sheriff's office, and Jamie Clark. So we met with this committee. We had about, we met on November the 18th and December the 8th and January 26th. And we also met with Shannon and Jake to do a final review. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look over the personnel handbook. If you have any questions.
Any questions, Commissioner Morris?
Hey, Gail, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good.
Jamie as well. I read through this. I just got back last night, but I was actually reading before I left Florida. I'm gonna need some more time with this. This is
It's
a lot of
lot.
change.
It's a lot of
I was just trying to read the yellow, and it was like wearing me out trying to get through it. You know, so
We understand. Jamie has been worn out with it also.
yeah, it's there's a
It's a
heck of a lot of work been done on it. That's obvious. I have lots and lots of questions and issues with some of the things that are in this yellow part.
Okay.
So, I don't know about the board. I would hope maybe we put this back on discussion next week, next meeting.
There ain't nothing need no time passed, correct? Okay, I do agree with that.
Yeah, because I think I'd have 100 questions, maybe. Maybe not that many. And the other thing that would really be useful is before I put all that effort into it, I'm gonna look at the yellow part and I also wanna review the white part too,
Yeah.
just to see
'Cause we
if there's
provided
anything
it.
in there that might strike my interest that we could change along with it, with what's in the yellow. But is the attorney had a chance to look at what's in the yellow to see if it's legal or not?
Yes,
All of it?
Jamie, Shannon had sent it to Ty. Did you
Is he-
get any
is he-
response back from
Well,
Ty?
he looked at it before he made those couple small changes. And on the big part of it, he was good. I sent him a few changes the other day, and he said he received it, but he hadn't had time to read it yet. But he looked at pretty much the bulk of it already. I haven't gotten his letter of approval yet, but I'm sure at some point soon, hopefully.
Could you give us a copy with his changes in it? I mean.
Yeah, well, he only sent that one sheet that I forwarded to you. It was that when I was out sick.
Yeah.
Remember, do you still have that from him?
Yeah, I still have it.
Yeah, that's got like a one page he did with just changes he suggested. So you can
Okay.
make a copy of that too.
Did you already mark one up with his changes in it?
What you
Yeah.
have has his changes.
Oh, it does already? Okay.
Yeah, it's got his
Yeah.
changes in it.
So he's basically good with what's in the yellow except for whatever else he may do.
Yes.
And
Okay.
really, the only changes that I looked when I did it, because the committee had met and voted on most of what they wanted to do, I really looked for like typos, grammatical things, stuff like that. Was pretty much the changes that we made the other day that I've sent to Ty, just so you can look at the new version of it.
Okay.
But he was looking at a lot of new, up-to-date issues that were not in the old handbook. Making sure that, that when you see this here, Shell and Jamie has new beside it, that's where Ty really concentrated on a few things to make sure that the state laws and the federal laws didn't violate anything.
Okay.
He reviewed
He
it
did.
on 2 or 3 different occasions.
We've sent him 3 times.
Yeah, and then he would send back saying that what we has right now, if you make these certain changes here in this certain paragraph, then he was okay with it. We have those that we can give you, so you can see how he was involved in it.
I don't care as long as it's his comments are incorporated, that's all I need, so.
Yeah.
And so I would like to just go through and make a list of questions or comments on it for the whole board to hear as soon as I can get them done. Matter of fact, I'll email them out to everybody as soon as I get them done.
Yes, if anybody has any questions, they want to email HR, we'll be glad to answer any questions. Yeah, she was involved on some. She was.
It's got things in there like where you're going to check somebody's phone. It doesn't say it's a government phone or a personal phone.
Check someone's
The
phone.
right way I read, I got the impression you
Oh.
could
Searches and monitor.
monitor and listen and check people's personal phones and stuff. That ain't gonna get it. That's just one that comes to mind, but I can be real specific when I have just a little
Okay.
more time with it, so.
Okay. Let's see.
Any more questions, comments on this? Commissioner Minot?
I have one about, just to be clear, that I can't find, now I'm looking for the page on grievance procedure. But, so the policy that's in here did not, I understand why it wouldn't apply to the Register of Deeds or the Sheriff's Department because they were both elected officials, but also it doesn't apply to the Health Director, the Department of Social Services, or the Tax Department. They have their own grievance procedures, is that
Yes,
right?
They're in the, I think,
State Office of
State,
Human Resources.
for health and DSS.
No, tax.
Tax
And
department?
tax. I think it said tax administration too. Yeah, okay. So are their grievance procedures similar to this or comparable or, I mean, is that something that this board has already approved in the past or something we need to look at as well, or I don't know. I'm just want to make sure it's all kind of in line with each other, I would say.
Sonia, what we can do is there's just a few policies in there that refers to the State Office of Human Resources for the Health Department and Social Services. and we'd be glad to copy you on those policies.
It might be helpful since me and Wayne are new. We don't know
Yeah.
how it differs from this
Yes.
or how it's similar, I
Yeah, there's
guess.
definitely differences.
Yeah.
The appellate authorities and all that, I think, are different. We have to do it their way.
Right, I'm
for the
sure.
state, so.
Okay, well, that makes sense. That actually does make sense. Even what Rick just said kind of cleared that up a little bit for me. It makes sense that it would work that way.
I had thought about including it on here, but then I didn't want to confuse the
Right.
rest of the employees.
Right, no, it's probably better not to include it in here, actually. But I wasn't sure, I had no idea how that was separate and stuff. So in this new, the salary scale, the things that we're looking at, that we haven't voted on yet, it would be in here the way if we're changing it. It wouldn't be the old steps and stuff.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so you've already kind of made those changes, just waiting to see what we'll do with that.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. I think that was all. I think that's all.
Okay. Because we know this is a lot to look at, to read over when you start looking at policies. We've had a,
Oh, yeah.
fun time with it.
Well, I know, a lot of times when state laws and things change, and I'm sure a lot of state laws have changed in the last 10 years that would impact, this, so.
And we also have policies that we're using now that's never been, needs to be put in the handbook, because we're doing that. We're using those policies now. So
Right.
They need to be added.
I appreciate all the hard work on this. It's a lot to put together.
Yes, okay.
When does it need to be approved, Gail, by, if we had a date we were working toward? Does it need to coincide with anything else, like the salary stuff, or?
Well, you could always, you could, just like we've done in this book several times, if we had to, if we needed to amend anything before this is approved to put in the current handbook, like if there was a salary change thing or something in here,
Yeah.
or anything else, we could amend it until we are ready to approve the new one.
Oh, okay. Is
Yeah,
this,
'cause it's a big thing to try to get, it's gonna take a little while to see it, read it all, look through it. I find something every time I read it.
And we
like
have
something
to-
new. It's just, it's overwhelming kind
Yeah,
of
we
thing.
can go take it home on the weekends. We come back on Wednesday,
Yeah.
like, okay, we found that.
You found it, let's change this.
Yeah.
So,
is this social media stuff you got in here, that's gonna be our total county social media policy? Is it all gonna be included here? It's not gonna be a separate policy?
Right, it would all be included.
yeah.
We don't have one now, right, as far as I
There's a
know?
little something they added to the IT technology and use policy that you sign if people get county cell phones, things like that, sign a little more about it. But it's not really all encompassing like that is, so.
Okay, yeah, that's another interesting area.
Yeah. It is. Anybody else got any questions?
I will before long.
Get ready.
Get ready, okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah, but if you think of things, I know if you don't want to wait till you have them all, if anybody has questions and you think of several things you just want to kind of touch base and send them to me or send them to Gail and Jamie or I'll forward them or either way, we can kind of share that information with each other.
On item B, the wide video appointment, Ms. Shaver.
Okay, so this, when I did this, I sent them out an email what I was planning to do, and they didn't seem to have much of an issue with it until I did it. We have several appointments for commissioners that they serve on multiple seats, within the same board. That once I finalized this, they sent me back something and said they would really prefer if I had two people. There are 2 commissioner seats for Stokes County on YVETI on those particular boards. And so one was the finance and one was the planning and evaluation. And we had 2 vacancies because Jamie Johnson sat on one board and Jimmy Walker had sat on one board. And so my thinking was for simplicity, when Commissioner Barneycastle volunteered to do both, that would make it simple because they meet at different times and all that. But they have just really been adamant. I've gone back and forth with them by email that they would prefer me to have those be separate seats since they're actually 2 separate appointments, 2 separate commissioners. So I didn't know if Commissioner Barneycastle had a preference for which committee he served on, and if anybody else was willing to take one of those, because if not, we just have a vacancy somewhere within that YVETI. It would either be with planning and evaluation or finance committee, one or the other. Sure.
Shannon, I would like to ask, what's the rationale, what was the rationale on this question? Because I'm on the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees, and I'm on 3 committees.
Right. Yeah.
I'm chairman of the policy committee, I'm on nominating committee, I'm on finance committee.
Yeah.
One entity, but 3 committees.
Right. Right.
Stokes Partnership for Children, I'm on the fundraising committee, 2 other committees. I don't understand what Betty's issue is.
Well, and same, I think Commissioner Morris is on everything to do with PTRC. I think you're on a few there. So I didn't see there being an issue with it, but I've got tons of emails between them of them just sort of disagreeing with me on that, so I'm not really sure why, yeah.
They didn't give you a
She
real
sent me a
reason.
few things in there, but it still kind of read that you could sort of, I mean, they're 2 different committees and they meet at different times. She said since it's 2 seats, they wanted to fill with two different people. And if another board member could not do it or didn't want to do it, that you could appoint somebody to do it, somebody on your staff. They said the health director, and I was like, really, right now? Okay, I don't. She might be like, are you kidding? But they were just giving out examples of people that had done it in the past. So, and I mean, if we, those committees have not met a ton this year because they haven't really been meeting virtually either as much. So I don't know if there's one you feel more comfortable with. Finance.
I tell her I'll be glad to meet with her. I'm really a nice guy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not that hard to deal with, Either one, Shannon's fine with me. It don't matter either one.
Okay. So, does anybody else have a suggestion for anybody? I mean, does anybody else care to take one of those? I know at one time you were going to take Jamie's spot when he went off, but they never got you on there because of all the COVID stuff happened, and they didn't ever have a meeting to appoint you to his position. So I don't know if that's still a possibility, or if you don't want to do that, or
That's fine either way.
so.
Why don't you take it and tell them they need to take one?
I'll do that. Just gonna enforce your name on in there and let you
Yeah,
take
you
it
might
out.
as well.
We can get you an Andy mask to wear.
Okay. So,
We thought you were taller.
do you want to do the planning and evaluation one or the finance one? I mean, either or. We got vacancies on both. I was just saying that you would. Jamie was originally on the
He's on finance one.
finance.
Yeah. We just did the finance?
That's fine,
Okay,
but
I'll do it.
no problem.
I can get them straight. Okay.
I just got a call from NCACC this week, asked me if I would consider filling out somebody's term on that risk.
Management pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they had mentioned that too. Okay.
I told them I guess I would, but maybe they may pick somebody else,
Okay.
just to fill out the term.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I'll do that if they want me to.
And since we've already been through the whole process with this is a commissioner appointment, I'll let her know that we're just gonna split it up like that. Then when she meets Wayne, she may let him be on both. I'm just kidding.
That's fine with me.
That's fine.
I'm not sure. I was confused though, because like both of you have multiple seats on same committees, so, or boards, so. But, okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, move on to item C, the budget goals meeting dates.
So this is for just budget planning. In the past, we've had anywhere from 4 meetings to, last year we had 1. We had scheduled 2. We had 2 the year prior. Last year we ended up having 1 because COVID hit in March and we just had 1 meeting, but we were able to do okay with that. So in the budget goals meetings for the new commissioners, it's pretty much just a meeting for us to sit down together with the board and Julia and Jake and I, and really just for you all to express things that you want to see happen in the budget, sort of your goals and priorities for the budget year, to give us an idea as we start to plan to put together the budgets with department heads. So we usually try to do it in March, because we'll start really working on the budget in April and May to get it presented. So I put some possible dates down. I didn't put any times, because I wanted to let you all kind of decide your time of day that you think. We could always schedule one, pick a time. If you felt like you needed another, we could always schedule another one.
I'm good with the 11th and 18th if that works for you guys.
All four are good for me.
Okay.
11th and the 18th. Yeah,
Thursdays.
the 25th, I might be out of town. So, yeah, good with the 11th and 18th.
This doesn't include a meeting to discuss the salary study, does it? We're gonna do that separately.
No, not as of right now. No, it doesn't. This, no, we
Doing
could
this.
certainly do that at a meeting, but I don't have that on there right this
But
second.
we're talking about doing that, right? Y'all still
We're
wanna do
talking
that?
I
about having
was
a
just talking about that before everything.
I think we probably need to.
Stuff hit.
Commissioner Barney Castle.
We go over the 11th and 18th.
Are you good
I'm
with that?
fine, yeah.
Commissioner
During
Mendenhall?
those days works.
what time, or is there a certain time you're available, Wayne?
It don't matter.
Those days?
We normally done it at 6 o'clock, didn't we?
We can do it anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever's easier for your schedule. since you know.
Whatever y'all, time y'all said, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I can make it work.
Do you have a conflict on either of those days on the 11th or the 18th?
March, right? March.
Yeah.
Do you want to schedule both dates, or do you want to do the 11th and see how it goes, and then see if you want to do the 18th?
We're
Or
gonna need more than one.
I think one's probably, we think one or two.
Yeah, I'd go ahead and schedule them both just in case.
You want to do them the 11th and the 18th? You want to do them both at 6, or do you want to do one in the day and one in the night, or is both at 6 good?
I prefer 6.
6, okay. So March 11th and March 18th. Those are both Thursdays at 6 p.m. Does that
Yep.
work?
Everybody good with that?
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'll get those scheduled and advertised and all that.
We need to set up a meeting for the salary study too, or?
Yeah, we can, and if we want to do that now, we can in this part, or you can talk about it when you do
Either time's fine.
the salary study's fine too. 'Cause I think we had, we talked about that on the December 28th meeting, and then we moved it out to do, because I kind of tentatively tried to schedule one of those in January, and then we were all sick.
When do we meet in March?
Our meeting dates for our regular meetings?
Yeah.
The 8th and the
Second,
22nd.
4th, 8th and the 22nd.
And there will most likely, could be a planning meeting on the 2nd. I figure, or, I'm trying to remember if the planning meeting would fall into March. I don't know if it would or not. Maybe it would be April if we had because we canceled the one for February, so it would be April if there was.
So what do we
So, yeah,
want?
so the 8th and the 22nd would be your regular.
March,
scheduled
March,
meetings.
you got one on the second.
Do I have one right now for the 2nd?
You know, if it'll figure that out.
But I think I think we'll have one, because he'll have things for that one, because he canceled this last one because of, I'll confirm that and make sure, but your regular meetings are the 8th and the 22nd.
What time do those afternoon meetings start, at 1 or 1:30?
2.
Okay.
So the 22nd would be a 2 o'clock, the 8th would be the 6th, and then the ones that you just scheduled for the budget goals, the 11th and the 18th would be a 6 p.m., right?
How long do you anticipate we would need to meet about the salary study? Like, hour and a half? I mean, would it be feasible to do it, come in earlier on the 22nd of February and do it before the meeting, or, I don't know, about in between the,
We had talked about doing it when we were trying to schedule it in December, because before I went out sick, I had sent everybody a message and tried to get it scheduled prior to the daytime meeting. I think we're going to try to shoot for doing that, or maybe after the daytime meeting adjourned or something. So that would have been a possibility too.
I wouldn't not want to push it off way into March or anything, because I mean, I think,
But the 22nd, like you're saying, is a daytime meeting. So if we did that,
could you get here earlier than 2?
Oh, yeah.
that would work.
I think it's less disruptive when you do them that way, instead of having a whole different day you have to come and everything.
Right, won't be here anyway.
Yeah, because that's kind of what we were going to do before. So it's just it's an easier thing to schedule too. And if you did it you could do it prior to it, or you could do it after, and just after you adjourn, we could just go into the salary, the special meeting for the salary study.
I could do either
What
one.
you'd rather do it?
I'd rather do it before, if it's okay with you.
Do it beforehand?
Yep.
So you think, the 22nd, if our meeting starts at 2, would you?
12:30,
Do
something
you
like
do,
that.
y'all ever do like a working lunch meeting type scenario?
Yeah.
You bring this lunch?
I'll bring you dessert.
11:30 or 12?
That's fine with me.
Yeah. You want to say 12, that way you have plenty of time before your other meeting starts at 2.
Yeah.
That's it, you're talking about February 22nd, right? Starting at 12.
Does that work for you? For you?
I'm fine with it. I'm good, yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Wayne can bring Tom Brown.
That's right.
You said what time, 12:30?
Bring Tom Brown.
Well,
12.
Well,
all right, we all good with that?
Yep, sounds good.
All right, so I'm just gonna make sure I got all the dates right. So February 22nd, 12 o'clock prior to the regular meeting, we're gonna do the salary study meeting at 12. And then I've got the goals meeting set for 11th and the 18th of March at 6.
That's right.
Okay. That should do it.
All right, with that, I'll go ahead and move on to item D. Announcement from our Sheriff Mike Marshall.
Most of you know, over the last several months, I've made multiple doctor's trips, been going to Baptist Hospital. My last couple of visits have not been positive. I've had some issues to come up that I don't feel like I'm gonna be able to recover from. So with that being said, I really don't want to go in no detail on it, but that being said, I want to let the commissioners know my intent to retire at the end of this month. I've got 30-plus years in here at the sheriff's office. May will be 40 years public service in with the county, total, for the citizens of the county. So I think it's going to be the best thing for everybody. I've always felt like if I couldn't get to the point to perform 100%, it'd be time for me to step down, and I'm there. All I can do is be honest with you about it. I hate to do it, but I'm going to stick to what I've always said I'd do, and I'm here.
Okay. All right, since he's made his decision, on the 18th of February, we will be holding an election to re-elect a new sheriff. And it will be down at the sheriff's office in the lower lobbies where it will be. And we will be voting between 5:30 and 6:30. And only executive board members can vote. And if you are interested in running, just give me a call, and I'll put your name on the ballot. But let me know no later than February the 17th at 6 o'clock.
And after the vote, I'm assuming you'll bring a nomination to the Board of Commissioners for approval?
Yes, we'll be bringing it here for approval, but if nothing was done, if we didn't have a vote or we didn't do anything, the chief deputy would take over as sheriff.
and that's who,
Yep,
Joey.
Joey.
that's Joey, yeah. Okay.
Mike, I'm going to take just a couple minutes, let the board speak to you, and I'll just go ahead and start off. It's been fun getting to really know you real good the last couple of years, and you know, you've really set the standard really high. Anybody that comes in behind you's got some big shoes to fill, and from me and my family in this county, we thank you so much for all that you've done. You've really given a lot of your life to this county, and you know, I can't remember a time late at night, early in the morning that you wouldn't answer your phone and to serve your citizens, and that's something this county needs. And you've been a real good role model for a sheriff of this county. Like I said, you set the standard high, and you're definitely going to be missed here. And wishing you the best of luck in your future here and getting to do stuff and not have to worry about picking up that phone every 30 seconds. So definitely be praying for you and hope everything goes well. And if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call about me. More than glad to help you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cox.
Yeah, I'm just kind of caught off guard and really blown away, but
Don't y'all make him cry now, because, hey.
So we got you covered right here, Mark.
No, but yeah, you mean a lot to a lot of people in this county, and we know your heart is in Stokes County, and it's never been a question of your loyalty to this county and your service, and you know, I know you've been right there with my family with many times when things have happened with different family members and stuff, and you've helped us out, and you've also used tough love when we needed it, and you know, but we never doubted your sincerity or your dedication and loyalty to this county and your job, and it will be hard to replace you. And thank you.
Well, for me, it's more than just him being sheriff. I go back probably 35, 40 years with him. Him and I done roofing together and all that, and when he was a deputy. Him and I both would work late at night, and then we'd roof during the day, and we done this for several years. That's probably what's wrong with him and me too. But with that being said, I've always thought of him, he was a ship off of Mike Joyce, one of the best sheriffs I've ever known, and same way with you. And like Sonia, I can tell you now, all the friendship and the years that we've had together, he has locked both of my sons up. And that did not change our friendship whatsoever. He got a job to do, and that's what he done. And he's done that job very well. But when you want to get on the bad side of the Barney Castles, that's when you say something about this sheriff right here. That's when you go have trouble. Because as far as I'm concerned, he don't come no better. I love him just like he's one of my brothers. And you have done a well job in this county. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, Mike, it's we go back a pretty good ways too. About 15 years, I guess, since I first met you, and most of that time working with you as county manager. You never fail me. I mean, you're always there with good ideas and doing what needed to be done. And you know, I told you, I think I told you this probably back early, but you know, it's easy to come in behind somebody who's a screw up and really look good. But when you come in behind Mike Joyce and look as good as you did, that means you're doing something right. And your service to the county is really appreciated, and it's been stellar. And I wish you the best. God bless whatever you're planning to do, plans are for the future.
I have to be careful here. You know how I feel about you. We go back so far. I hated to hear this. I don't know if I can really hold it together right now. But I love you, and I'll be praying for you. You understand?
Yes, sir.
It means a lot to me. That's all I got. That's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
I would, you know, let the citizens know, I appreciate them giving me the opportunity to serve the county. I'm not a quitter. I've always stood up, never backed down. I'm doing what I'm having to do now because I feel like this is best for the county. for my family and myself.
I can tell you right now, that's not a person from this board that dare thinks you're a quitter. You put more than 110% into it every single day, and we appreciate that.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate your comments.
Thank you, Mike.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask Virginia just a question or two?
Yeah,
before she
you're
leaves?
good, Commissioner.
I just want to clarify, make sure I followed what you said, Virginia. If somebody's going to run for sheriff, they have to let you know by 17 February at 6 p.m., you said?
Yeah, because we have to have a ballot.
So you can make balance. And then on the 18th, you said between 5:30 and 6:30, the vote of the
that's-
executive committee,
So like we did Jamie's.
just like we did when Jamie left. Okay, good.
Okay,
Just want to make sure I had it straight.
all right.
Move on to our action agenda now. Item A, the salary study.
Chairman, I've got a motion.
Go ahead, sir.
We're hearing Mike's comments. May need to make an addendum to my motion. Sorry. Just give me a second. We've been dealing with this salary study for a long time. And I've made those comments public that we've had many, it's gone through information, it's gone through discussion, and we're at action. And we'll make a motion and see if I can get a second, and then Mr. Chairman, after the sheriff's comments, which I feel very strongly about, I'm making a motion to approve compensation and classification study as presented by the Mercer Group, and to implement to the minimum salary with years in position compression up to a $7,500 maximum at the total cost of $1,283,168.61. Be effective on March the 20th, 2021, 3/20/2021, with a cost of $355,339 for this current budget.
And with that motion, sir, I'd like to add, I'd like to make the sheriff's effective immediately. With the years of service and everything that he's put into this county, I'd like to see his going ahead and get affected. Sounds like he's going to be coming up with retirement. Is that possible?
What he's requesting, Julia, is that in this motion made here, that the salary study go in effect for 3/20, and also that the sheriff salaries would be on this salary study and go into effect immediately, just his.
He's a contract, he will be a contract, this is approved,
Right.
he will be on the rate.
His contract is basically salary based. He's voted in, this position is voted in. So it will be a compensation type contract only. That would reflect what the board elects to do.
That's the motion. I'd like to add that to his motion.
Madam Clerk, did you get my motion with the chairman's addition?
Yeah, I've got a note, yeah, I'll have to listen back to get the wording exactly, but I've got the part of it there.
I have a motion, is there a second?
I'm gonna make a second of that. I spent 2.5 hours over here on Thursday with Jake, Shannon, and Julie, going over the salary study, and done a lot of time looking at it at home. And I think that you just can't keep kicking stuff down the road. You got to eventually move on something, and the money's there. We need to bring our employees up to date with everybody else, somewhere close, and that's just my feelings on this, and I think we just need to move forward with it.
That's a motion. Second, any more comments on this? Commissioner
I'm not
Morris?
in favor of doing what was just proposed until we have our separate salary study discussion. I can approve the Mercer report, and based on the fact that we can adjust it or change it after we have our salary meeting. If we're gonna approve this tonight, we don't need to have the salary meeting, in my opinion.
Any more comments?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the fact that if we are approving the motion, we probably don't need to have that meeting. So,
Before we do it, I am actually in favor of this because of the main part is the 159 is where the turnover is mainly. And as Commissioner Barney-Castle said, this has been kicked down the road long enough. And getting these up to the minimum, then see what we got from the at the budget with the rest of the salary study. So with that as a motion, second, comments are over. All
I
in
have
favor?
a couple more comments.
Go ahead, Commissioner Morris.
I don't think we ever agreed we're gonna bring everybody up to the minimum. We were looking at doing, trying to do something that covered everybody and gave everybody an increase and not just the folks bringing them up to the minimum. And, I hadn't even seen this written out or laid in front of me or anything, so what we're doing here, I think, is very premature. Right up against the budget cycle, lock in this big expenditure before we know what the other budget proposals are. And I just think that's a bad precedent, personally.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any more comments?
well, I will say that I do know there are some positions that are posted that this will impact, some DSS positions and things where she's getting ready to try to interview and hire some people. This will help her, I think, get better qualified candidates to have interest in those positions if we do go ahead and implement it. So that would be the justification, in my opinion, for doing it, although I do think, I see what you're saying about not covering everybody, but with the compression that he mentioned in the motion, I think that will get just about everybody except one person. Is that right, Shannon?
If you look at that later thing that I was giving to you all for reference, that Joy had come up with, trying to give you some information, it does pretty much, if you did the 7,500 cap, the compression, there are some people that have just switched positions, things like that, if you did time in position, or they've not been here very long, it wouldn't affect those people. There's about 34 people, but that's mostly because either they haven't been here a full year,
Okay.
or they have switched jobs in the last year. So,
Okay.
so years of service would be different from years of position. There is one individual who has a huge amount of time in the same position that would not be affected as of yet on there, just because being so far off of the chart already on, if we went to the only way that person would ever get anything is if you put everybody to the maximum, because that would be when they would reach their point of their salary. They've already been here past the point.
This will get everybody but about 30, so.
Yeah, well, 34 would be the number that Julia came up with.
Okay.
But that's the only one that's strictly because has been here so long in a position, and it would not happen unless you took to the maximum. And the maximum amount, if you look at those different scenarios, the maximum would be a lot, because Phil only recommended up to midpoint. He said most counties don't do any further than midpoint, and most do a cap, like a 7,500 or 10,000 or something on there is what he always has recommended.
When people reach the maximum, they won't get anything else unless the board gives a cost of living or something like that. Once they get that max amount, our software system, nor does this plan take you beyond unless you get a cost of living or something like that. You would not get the 2% longevity anymore after 30 years.
Any more comments?
But you would they would reach their 30 year if they were in their same position, rather than currently the way it's laid out with the A/B system. It would take a lot longer than 30 years to get to the end. Even, for instance, that person in that position has way past 30 years and still not to the end, in the same position, and still not at the end of the job scale, of the pay scale.
Any more comments?
I just say, we're awful premature about this. Last time we talked about this, we were gonna get together and look at options and so forth, and now, all of a sudden, we're gonna jump on it without doing any further analysis or having any further board discussion, so I don't think it's a wise thing to do.
I see where you're coming from, but also I'm looking at it as we've been working on this for a long time, years actually, so. With this, is there any more comments on this? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
I'm opposed.
All right, move on to item B. Stokes County Community Child Prevention Fatality Prevention Team requested approval of team members. It was presented at the last meeting. I'll open the floor for any further nominations.
They contacted me about Commissioner Cox joining that group. So I went ahead, they added her to their list, and we just need to make a note that if somebody could officially nominate her to be added to that list as presented, so we can do that, please.
I'll officially nominate her to that list.
And then just somebody to close the floor for nomination.
Make a motion, close the nomination.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll now pull the board, starting with Commissioner Mendenhall.
You can say list is presented, it's fine. It's that giant Stokes,
As presented.
sorry.
As presented.
As presented.
Commissioner Morris.
I don't know if I can vote for myself. but-
What's the name?
List as
It's that
presented.
whole list for the Stokes fatality, protection.
Yeah, I'm good with that group.
All right. Shannon, can you read the rationale for closed session, please?
To consider and take action with respect to the position to be taken by the county in negotiating the price or other material terms of an agreement for the acquisition or release of real property pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A5, and to consider the initial employment or appointment of an individual to any office or position other than a vacancy in the Board of County Commissioners or any other public body, or to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, and fitness of any public officer or employee other than a member of the Board of Commissioners or of some other public body pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6.
Motion on the close.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Close.
Okay, is there any more motions before we adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we continue the, what's it called, incentive?
DSF retention incentive.
Yeah, the DSS retention incentive for a selected group of folks who are receiving that incentive, which would put them in a grandfathered status until that procedure is superseded by the salary study that's been implemented.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Now, let me turn this.